Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of our Malicious Compliance. In today's episode, want me to unload my own trailer? Okay, I needed a vacation anyway. A footpath? What a great idea. Stop messaging me and have your lawyer contact me. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. Want me to unload my own trailer? Okay, I needed a vacation anyway. So I was a trucker for a while, and that comes with plenty of stories of crazy things in so many places. One of my favorite stories, however, comes from a piece of malicious compliance that came together just perfectly. The setup. I tend to be a bit on the lazy side when I can get away with it, and I searched for quite some time to find a company that would keep me far away from unloading the trailers myself. I found a good one that had a 95% drop and hook rate, drop off a trailer full of goods, then grab a new one that's either loaded or to take to the next pickup. 4.9% of them are either handled by the receiving dock or by lumpers, dock workers hired by warehouse companies specifically to unload trucks. That 0.1% is a list of places that just want to watch you work, or be convinced that you really shouldn't operate their lifts. In my contract, I saw that there was a place where your hourly rate for unloading was stated. Not for the hours that you were sitting and waiting to be unloaded, but for when you were the one unloading your own trailer. I also saw that the contract allowed for alterations to be made to the price of this service to be charged to the customer. As a joke, I put in not one, but two extra zeros. $1,500 an hour for unloading a trailer. Should deter most people. Most people saw that, got a good laugh, then pulled in someone to unload for me. The event. Most people, like I said, were smart. This run was set to arrive at 0300 to a certain clothing store in the mall, let's call him IB Nickeled. I'd been to this store a few times before and it was always the same manager, Mr. Dime, receiving me, and it was always the same runaround. If I wanted to get unloaded, I had to wait for someone to get there, then I'd have to sit and wait while the poor kid back there got the load off, then I'd have to wait for traffic to ease up to get out since it was always almost 10:30 by the time I finally left, leaving me with only a couple of hours left on my clock to get to a truck stop for the day. I got there and, yep, Mr. Dime had come in to accept the load. It was always hard to be smart at 0300, and I can only imagine that was part of Mr. Dime's usual runaround. This time was a bit different for a few reasons. 1. He smelled like there was a bit of an herbal calming remedy about him to settle his nerves for the night. 2. He said that he was completely understaffed and there was no one around to unload me, so I'd have to do it myself. 3. I couldn't stay to my usual time because he had to leave before 0500. To be fair to him, I did try and say, sure, but my contract says dash. I don't care what your contract states. I don't have anyone in until the store opens, and I've got an appointment that's more important than some trucker's contract. Just unload it yourself. I considered it for a moment and went back up to my truck to get my tablet. This was in 2019 before the virus and the company had just swapped over to tablets for certain things, like signing off on expenses or getting permissions. Mr. Dime was fuming when I came back and handed him the tablet. Just read through and sign with your finger. He didn't read through. I had 20 pallets at 1,500 pounds each. The only available tool to unload was a manual pallet jack. I started my work clock and began unloading at 0315. At 0500 Mr. Dime looks on in satisfaction to see me about 3/4 of the way through as he's out the door. At 0515, Mr. Dime's replacement, Mr. Quarter of the Day Shift, comes running in with his face white as a sheet to see me taking off the fourth to last pallet. Please tell me that I'm reading this wrong, he pled fruitlessly. I wish I could, I lied, knowing that Mr. Dime was about to be up a muddy creek with a spoon. I even tried telling Mr. Dime what he was getting into, but he just skimmed and signed. He slumped. Wait here. I need to call my district manager. Better be quick. I want to be out of this lot by 6:30 to beat the morning rush and get a good breakfast. He ran back and I continued unloading. When I finally got the last pallet off at 0550, I turned off my time clock as the district manager came in, we'll call him Mr. Dollar just to keep consistent, followed both by Mr. Quarter who was looking somewhat relieved and by Mr. Dime who was somewhere between terrified and furious. "You're Mr. Mr. Dollar asked, holding a printout and looking to it for the name. "That's me," I agreed. "I take it they sent over the contract Mr. Dime signed." "Yes, and that's just it. Mr. Dime is accusing you of forging his signature on this since there's no way he'd sign off on a multi-thousand-dollar contract just to unload a trailer. Especially since he claims you insisted on unloading it yourself." I whistled. "That's a heck of an accusation. Hey, is that CCTV I see up in that corner over there?" I asked, knowing full well that the entire loading dock was covered by a slew of cameras. The one I pointed out was positioned just right to catch the whole conversation at the door. "Mr. Quarter, get the footage," Mr. Dollar said. "We don't have audio but we do have visual on them." Mr. Dime lost his fury and now just looked petrified. The fallout. One review later and I was grinning like a loon back to my truck. I called my manager, booked some home time, and walked away with enough money to last to the end of the month. The next time I went into that IB nickeled there was a new, much more sensible manager who always had a man on staff to unload the trucks. Edits, to clarify a few things. 1. Yes, I milked it a bit, though not as much as some people might think. Like I said, I was regularly there from 0300 to 10:30 at the latest. Throw on top of that the fact that I've never been the healthiest of individuals and it took me that long to keep from hurting myself. This was during the summer in SoCal, and even at night it was still 90°F outside, hotter in the trailer without any air conditioning. A fat man with no AC is going to take all the time he wants. 2. Why didn't Mr. Dime do any of this himself and why did he lie? Truckers tend to get the short end of the stick, even when we're regulars to a place. This was the 5th or 6th time I'd been there spread out over the course of 4 months or so I was familiar enough that I was recognized at the dock but not so much that they really cared to keep track of it. The manager figured he could probably get away with shafting me since he claimed I didn't like how long I was waiting. I feel like he's made other truckers get to that point but none of them had hourly rates like mine on their contract. He's just one of many that thought he could get away with blaming it on that trucker when it went wrong for him. 3. What happened while we watched the video was pretty anticlimactic. The recording was on Mr. Quarter's phone when he came back and was pretty low quality, but you could still make out that I argued with him about unloading for a minute before coming back and he did indeed sign it. Mr. Dollar said, "You can go, Arrow. Mr. Dime, go wait in the office. Now." I got going while the going was good. A footpath? What a great idea. This isn't my story but my ex-boss. I work in a hotel, which changed hands a number of years ago. My previous boss before the change of managements had a number of tales of her time in the hotel trade and this was one of her favorites. She had a previous job running a different hotel, which was a fairly modest size when she took over. Whilst there, the management had big plans for expansion. Ex-boss was responsible for getting this done and went about applying for planning permission for the planned extensions. Over the next few years the hotel grew in size, acquiring a swimming pool, spa and numerous guest bedrooms and function rooms with ex-boss exhausting every avenue she could when it came to getting the necessary permissions, ending up with the hotel being several times its original size. Next door to the hotel was a public car park and picnic spot and, once the expansion was complete, she decided to maximize on the location by building a footpath linking the hotel grounds to the car park, enticing picnickers into the hotel bar. The problem was that by this time the council had made it clear that the company weren't going to be granted any more planning permission for any further work of any sort. Knowing this, ex-boss realized it would be futile to even attempt to apply for the necessary permits, so she took a different approach. She contacted the council, saying she was concerned for the safety of the hotel clientele as the hotel was situated on a busy main road, which posed a danger to any customers trying to get from the neighboring car park to the hotel. She demanded that the council took action to ensure the safety of the public, financing some way of preventing them from walking along the main road where they ran the risk of a potentially fatal accident. The council replied that this wasn't their responsibility and, if the hotel was really so concerned about the issue, they should pay to have a path built themselves. This was exactly what ex-boss was hoping for and, before the council could change their mind, she did exactly that, building a footpath at the council's request, which they would never have let her do if she had asked for permission through the regular channels. Stop messaging me and have your lawyer contact me. I'm a very systematic and organized person. I reached out to my new apartments a month before move-in to confirm it was ready. Property manager, which number 1, informed me the fridge is leaking and will be replaced 2 weeks before move-in. I move in and fridge doesn't work. I submit a maintenance request and they send 2 goons who spend 4 hours on the phone with the boss and turn it off for 2 days, then turn it back on. It still doesn't work, so I file another request. This time she ignores me. I call/text/email, no answer. I call the main management company line and that other, which adds the property manager, which number 1, to the line. Which number 2 cuts me off and doesn't let me finish, then hangs up. Which number 1 then sends me a long text that I am rude and ungrateful and that she will take action and make me regret it if I keep calling. I told her I can just buy from Costco and deduct from rent, allowed in my state given the time frame. And it's been literally over 45 days since they've known the fridge is broken. She also says I will have to accept a used fridge from a broken down nearby unit that I will have to clean myself. I tell her I will be contacting a lawyer. Anyone attending my university qualifies for a free lawyer paid via tuition. She's like, stop messaging me, I will block you and have your lawyer contact me. I file a complaint with the city and they immediately call me to schedule an inspection 3 hours later. They say they've had multiple complaints with this property. Inspector comes. Which number 1, the main groundsman, great guy, and the owner, also good guy but was left in the dark about everything, all come to see what's going on and they look scared shitless. Inspector writes up so many little things and I help point out very minor things that need repair/replacement. 30 minutes later I immediately get a text from which number 1 that I will be expecting a brand new fridge in the morning. I get a new fridge. Now everyone knows what a fool she is. The groundsman also called her a few foul words. She ducks her head and avoids me whenever she sees me in the leasing office, beautiful quiet area where I study. I have also officially requested repair of all the little minor things that they have to complete within 30 days. One of them involves putting doors on these beautiful exposed cabinets they have, which will destroy the cabinets and likely need to replaced when I move out. So minimum $3,000 there. Had she literally given me a time frame and listened to me calmly explain my struggles living without a fridge for weeks, this could have been solved within 30 minutes. I was ready to accept the used fridge from a nearby unit. Had she said, there is a beautiful fridge in our luxury unit. I will send 2 guys over to clean it like new and it will be swapped with yours in 2 hours, I would have been like, hell yeah, thank you. This would have cost them $0, they own the fridge already, and the maintenance crew is always sitting outside smoking anyways and getting paid. Instead, they had to purchase me a more expensive fridge that doesn't match the other units, probably the only one in stock at the time. And now they also have to complete other minor repairs that I might have not cared about. I would estimate this ordeal will now cost them $6,000 plus. I haven't even made contact with the lawyer yet. This is how fast they pounced as soon as the inspector came. I have also reported the property manager and the company to several state agencies. Even if nothing comes out of it, they will be annoyed. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.